Hello, everyone, as you're joining our TMF University Town Hall for September of 2023. Excited to revisit the topic of TMF University with you all as people are joining us today. This will be a bit interactive. If there are questions, you should be able to type those in and send that into our team. And we'll be happy to address those as we go through our presentation. If anything comes up, we'll have time at the end as well. So just to give you a rundown of what we'll be going through today, I know we have this scheduled for an hour. It most likely will not take that full hour. I do know most of us are very busy, so do want to be mindful of your time, but we just have some quick opening remarks about TMF University and what you can expect. Some of the best practices for you as a prospective learner. So what you can expect to put into TMF University, what you can expect to get out of TMF University. There's questions that we receive all the time about the program, and we do use this town hall as an opportunity to just present these to you, give a little bit more context in a conversational manner rather than just kind of back and forth via email. So lots of good material here. Again, really focused on what the program offers you as a learner, what we expect of you as a learner. I'll talk about myself as a facilitator and what you can expect. And then we'll wrap things up with some Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. Just so you know who I am, so I'm Ben Rogers. I'm the Senior Manager of Training and Development and Education at LMK. So I've been in the industry of clinical research about 12 years now. I think next month will officially be 12 years. Most of that time, if not really all of that time, has been related to the Trial Master file. I started as a document reviewer many years ago, about 12 years ago, with paper Trial Master files, simply reviewing documents for quality and processing them in their paper Trial Master files. Since my time as a document reviewer, I've since moved on to work in the clinical operations team supporting TMF QCs and site management. I've held leadership positions within TMF management departments where I've been responsible for managing teams within the TMF department, also working with our functional areas like our clinical monitoring group, clinical operations, data management, even our sponsors as well. So I've supported many different people in their journeys with the Trial Master file. But what I've found that I really enjoyed is helping people to understand the importance of the Trial Master file. I'm quite passionate about the topic. I feel like it's often forgotten about. Many of us that are TMF professionals recognize that the TMF is often ignored, but it is such an important component of the clinical trial process. So I really like to break things down for people to really help them to understand the basics of the TMF, how simple it sometimes can be. So that's what's led me more to the education space here at LMK. I have been delivering TMF University for about 2.5 years now, which is kind of hard to believe. So many learners have come through their program with me, and I've worked alongside them to take them through the accreditation process. And excited for any of our potential learners who may be encouraged to join as well. I'll continue to be your facilitator. I'm happy to share my experiences. I'm happy to learn from you and your experiences. And so I'll talk a little bit more about my approach as a facilitator as we talk through some of the topics today, but just wanted to give a little bit of background about myself since I am kind of the face or the voice behind TMF University. I thought it might be good for you to know who I am. All right, so TMF University, what is it? What sets it apart? Is it different from other offerings that are out there in the education space? So as of right now, TMF University is the only accredited program for TMF professionals in the world. So IAOCR does provide the accreditation for the TMF University program. Accreditation really just means that we have a consistently applied program that learners, if you're a TMF associate or if you're a TMF manager that's graduated from TMF University and you're talking to someone in an interview or you're talking with a colleague at a conference, you understand the topics that that person is knowledgeable in, you understand the work that they put into the program, you have similar understanding of key topics like TMF metrics, audits and inspections, document quality standards. So we really have a very streamlined process and outlined process for how TMF University is ran and what is expected for participants in the program. So how was the program developed? Just like many great things, subject matter expertise and diverse opinion went into the development of this program. And we really thought about, what does it mean to be a TMF professional? There are many more careers in TMF management now than there were when I started just 12 years ago. Lots of times you saw, document reviewer or quality expert, and you really then saw line managers. Now we have document reviewers, we have QC reviewers for TMF completeness, we have TMF leads that have oversight of studies and they're reaching out to project team members to collect documentation. We have system admins, we have managers, directors, and so on. So we really have this career ladder now in TMF University. So we took diverse opinions of what it means to be a TMF professional. What are the areas of focus? What should a well-rounded TMF professional know about to develop this program? So we're not focused only on document quality. That is one of the components, but there's so much more to being a TMF professional than just knowing how to review a document for completeness or pagination or legibility. That's, of course, a great foundation, but we want more. We'll talk about some of those things that you'll learn a little bit later on, but really TMF University is there to build well-rounded TMF professionals that can lead organizations from a TMF management and oversight perspective. So we do have topics related to metrics, process expectations, audits and inspections, document quality, TMF QC or completeness reviews. So there is a little bit for everyone. So the program does consist of 9 different courses across 3 levels. We have our discovery level of 3 courses, our immersion level of 3 courses, and our mastery level of 3 courses. We offer 2 different accreditation pathways. We have TMF Associate, which comprises the discovery and immersion level courses. So 6 courses total. And those who are looking to have that manager certificate, manager accreditation, you would complete all 9 courses and assessment portfolios that the program does offer. We'll talk a little bit more about the courses again in just a couple of minutes. I know I keep teasing those, but we just kind of like to break down the program and kind of what does this accreditation mean. So for learners who are perhaps just interested in the TMF space, have a bit of experience, and just want accreditation to show that experience, maybe TMF Associate is the path that you would like to take. If you're someone who's maybe a bit more seniored and wants management positions, or you're looking to really change processes within your organization or open up career pathways, the TMF Manager accreditation might be something that you're interested in. There's several different pathways or courses that people can take to really understand the topics of interest to them. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. That is one thing that we do offer learners, is you can learn about the topics that are of interest to you. I'll talk a little bit more about those options in just a couple of slides. But the way the program is developed is that we start with the discovery level, which is pretty foundational. It's what is the trial master file, what's a TMF index, document quality control, and then we build on those principles in the immersion level to talk a little bit more about audits and inspections, TMF QC, and TMF technology. And then at that manager level, that's where we get a bit more granular, and I'll say a little bit boring perhaps with, I shouldn't say boring, but I like to be transparent, regulations. Many people have said in the past, in just conversation, regulations are hard to get through, right? Not the current regulations course that we offer, but regulations themselves. They're just a bit dry. There's only so much fun that we can have with them, but we've got to know what they are, and we've got to know how to update them or implement them within our processes and with our metrics. So we try to keep our courses fun, even though some of the material, like those regulations, can be a bit dry. We do our best to make that information engaging and really show how it's applicable to your role. So as a learner, what is expected of you? People sometimes, I'm definitely one of those learners who's a bit anxious when I go through a new program or if I am participating in something that's a bit new to me. What's expected of me? How can I do well within this program? Many people have been very successful in TMF University with very little experience related to the Trial Master file and a lot of experience related to the Trial Master file. You don't have to be someone with 10 years of experience to do well. You just have to put forth your best effort with regards to the program to be successful. We try to do a very good job of giving you the appropriate tools and resources to do well as a learner, but it will take a little bit of work for you. TMF University is not a passive learning environment. So what that means is you're not just really sitting back watching a video. You're not necessarily just reading an SOP and then moving on from it. You should be actively involved in the learning process. We have discussion breaks. We have breakouts at times. We have assessment portfolios to demonstrate for you to explain your understanding of topics. But what makes TMF University so great is it is instructor-led, which means you'll be with me live virtually 3 hours a week for the program. Each course is 3 hours. And this gives you the opportunity to ask questions, have that engagement. I can't stress that enough of how important engagement as learners is because you all offer different perspectives than my experiences, right? So some of you may work for vendors. Some of you may work for CROs or sponsors. Some of you may work for an IRB. Some of you may be in data management or clinical monitoring. We don't all have the same experience. So that engagement is really what helps to make this program so beneficial because it allows us to think outside of the box. I did mention TMF University is an accredited program. We do have expected assessment criteria and learning outcomes that we hope that you will show knowledge of at the time of completion of each course. So just because we have designed the courses with certain learning outcomes and assessment criteria doesn't mean that you can't ask questions. I actively ask for questions throughout the course. In fact, I start every single course with a question. What do you want to learn about this topic? What's a current challenge? What's something you've always been curious about when it comes to this specific topic? Because I want to make sure we're answering your questions. We know this isn't an investment within yourself, within your career. So we do want you to get out of the courses what you are intending to. So active involvement is encouraged. I want everyone to know that. I don't want you to think that I'm just going to sit here and deliver the same message to you each and every single time with no reflection on what you want to know or the questions that you may have. We're there to work through things together. You can do that in several different ways. If you're a bit shy, you can send things in the chat. We do use Zoom for scheduling our meetings. So you can use the chat function in Zoom. You can send it privately to me. You can come off of mute, open engagement at all times. Truly, any way that you want to communicate is welcome. So that is first and foremost how you get the most out of TMF University, asking questions. I've had learners in the past say, they would come or send me an email or come to the office hours that we host just for any kind of general questions. They say, I don't want to feel like I'm monopolizing time in class with my questions. I'm like, well, if nobody else has them and you do, ask, right? Yeah, you all are paying the same amount to participate in the program. It's just as much your time as it is anyone else's. If you've got questions, ask them. Take up that time if no one else is asking questions. I did mention there is a bit of effort that is needed from you as a learner to participate in the program. You can't be passive in your approach. We'll talk about the assessment portfolios, I believe, on the next slide with some of our Q&A, frequently asked questions. But you will complete assessment portfolios. So those learning outcomes and assessment criteria that I mentioned, that's what has us see consistency in our learners or our graduates. We have the same learning outcomes and assessment criteria so that a TMF manager that graduates in December of 2023 has the same knowledge and skills as someone who had graduated in December of 2022. So those learning outcomes and assessment criteria allow you to demonstrate your knowledge of those particular topics within your assessment portfolio. So I keep saying this word assessment portfolio. Is that homework? Yes, it is. So it's a little bit of work that's required for you to demonstrate that understanding. It's not multiple choice. It's not true, false. It's not fill in the blank. It's asking you questions like describe the importance of the trial master file when it comes to assessing risk to subjects. Tell me, describe how you would review a document for legibility. Walk me through the review process. So you would then demonstrate or walk us through that particular process. And then communication is also very important. As a learner, we know this program is often in addition to your day-to-day life, right? Your work schedule, perhaps you're in school, you're a caregiver, you're busy outside of this program, and we want to be flexible. So if you need something from us, you need a little bit more time, you need a little bit more support. Communicate with me and my team. We're happy to do that. I cannot stress it enough. I talk about in TMF University, we have to be supportive as TMF professionals of our functional areas to help them understand the TMF. I have to be supportive as a facilitator to help you in your journey in TMF University. So email, we can set up a meeting to really talk through an area of concern, a conflict, or if you just have questions about a particular topic, I'm totally fine to go through that with you. But it really requires you to communicate with me. I send out emails, I provide opportunities for office hours for engagement. But if you're not letting me or our team know that you need support or a bit more time, we can't help you. So we strongly encourage you to let us know what you need to be successful, and we'll do everything in our power to offer you those opportunities and to meet you where you need to be met. All right, so our last couple of questions here, before frequently asked questions, before we turn it over, I'm sure some have come in the chat there. So got a couple that are related to each other. What can I expect to learn? What topics are covered? How is the course material developed? So I'll start with how the course material is developed and how it's changed or evolved since the courses that I've been delivering since early 2021. So courses were initially developed based off those learning outcomes and assessment criteria of what it means to be a TMF professional and a graduate of TMF University. But we understand the landscape changes when it comes to the TMF and clinical trials. So as regulatory guidance shifts, we also make sure that our material is updated to reflect current guidance or industry best practice. If technology advancements are made, we ensure that we incorporate that within those slides. So we do look across the industry for guidance from a regulatory perspective, from trends, from technology advancements to continue to develop material. And we also put in frequently asked questions from learners. If there's a topic that's asked about over and over again, as we go through the different cohorts, we'll add that slide in and we'll incorporate that conversation because we know it's something that's often asked about. So we also look to you as learners to help us to continue developing the program of what's interesting to the people that are participating. What are the common problems or issues or challenges that you all are facing? So that's how we continue to evolve the program. I did mention consistency, right? So we want learners when they graduate to have a consistent application of knowledge, whether they graduated in 2022 or 2024. But some of the foundational principles may shift a bit, right? What we're giving you is the tools as you graduate the program to gain that knowledge if there is a change in regulation. You now know because you're equipped with the knowledge to go to the regulation, how to understand that regulation and implement that within your organization. So the foundational skills are still there. What topics are covered? What can I expect to learn? I mentioned this as we went through our courses from discovery, immersion, and mastery. It will start at the foundation, right? What is the trial master file? Why do we have to have a trial master file? What does regulatory agencies say about the TMF? We talk about document QC, Alcoa principles. We talk about effective communication, right? It's not just those skills related to the TMF, but it's also project management, people management, time management. We talk a lot about those aspects. We talk about audit and inspection preparation, how to perform a efficient TMF QC process, what your TMF processes or SOPs, what should be included, how should they be written, what does a well-developed TMF metrics program look like. So we do have 9 courses. Our first course, Introduction to TMF, touches on quite a few of the areas of TMF management, but at a little bit of more of a high level, right? It's that foundational course that we start with. And then we dive deeper into each of the topics of TMF management and oversight, like document QC, TMF indexing, TMF QC, audits and inspections, TMF technology. 3 more to go. We'll go through them. current regulations, TMF process, and TMF metrics. That's the order of the courses that we deliver. So we get a bit more granular in those particular topics. I did mention the courses are 3 hours long. Am I going to read to you for 3 hours from the slides? I do my absolute best to not read to you. There's a couple of exceptions. Each course, I read a couple of slides to you about the particular course, confidentiality disclaimers. So it's a little bit of more the administrative side of things, a few minutes. And then sometimes I will read regulation to you if we're citing a particular regulatory agency. But other than that, the slides are fairly minimal with the text. They are there for a reference, for talking points for us, and it's more of a conversation. So there's a lot more covered than what's just presented on those slides. It would be a disservice to you to just present to you slides and read that word for word. It would be very boring. I do my absolute best to make sure you are not bored. I know 3 hours is quite a bit of time to perhaps talk about the trial master file. We do have breaks. So we usually have about 20 to 30 minutes of breaks within our courses. So there will be time to step away, get some water, reflect, answer emails, whatever you need to do during those breaks. So it's not just 3 hours of nonstop communication from me. So yes, we will go through the slides each time. We also go through our assessment portfolios together at the end of each course to help provide you some guidance to help you be more successful. Again, I'm hoping to give you the tools and resources necessary to be successful. It would be, again, a disservice to you to just hand over slides and say, answer some questions about them. We really need to provide a bit more context, go a little bit more granular, provide some real world examples. You will get the opportunity to do things like hands-on document QC. So if you're someone who doesn't have experience with that, or it's been a little bit of time since you've done that, you'll now be able to do that again or do that for the first time. That is a foundational principle of a TMF professional, right? Being able to look at a document and know whether or not it should be filed in the trial master file based off the quality standards. Hands-on application, you're going to get that in TMF University. Do you need to have 5 years experience to be successful? Do I need to have 5 years experience to take all of the courses? Absolutely not. Again, the program has been developed in a way that anyone, as long as they apply themselves to the program and put forth the effort, you can be successful, right? So whether we've had people who have no industry experience have been wildly successful in the program because they really dedicated themselves to the material. They wanted to break into the industry and they saw this as an opportunity to really get that foundation of knowledge and did really, really well. I will say sometimes the people that struggle a bit more are people with a little bit more experience because they've maybe forgotten about some of those foundational principles like document QC and they're revisiting it for the first time in 10 or 12 years. They're like, oh man, I know what I should be doing, but I just haven't done this in so long. Or they just have a lot of ideas going through their head. And sometimes it's hard to communicate that, right? When we are very knowledgeable or passionate about a topic, sometimes it's a bit difficult for us to put into words and write that down what we are trying to express. So sometimes people with more experience struggle a bit more. It just really depends on you as a learner. Who's participated in TMF University? There's been quite a few roles, different organizations. We've had vendors, like eTMF or technology vendors. We've had sponsors. We've had CROs, data management, quality assurance. We have had contractors come in, like independent consultants come in to perform or complete TMF University. So lots of different roles. It's not just TMF professionals only. How much work is required? How much time can you expect to dedicate each week? So the courses are currently 3 hours. So those are each week. For 3 weeks of the courses, so you'd have course 1, 2, and 3 of a level. Then there's a small break, and then you have courses 1, 2, and 3 of the next level, a small break, and then courses 1, 2, and 3. So there's 9 courses total, each of those scheduled for about 3 hours. The assessment portfolios really depend. We get a pretty wide range of feedback. Some people complete them in 90 minutes and do well, and some people complete them in 5 or 6 hours and do really well. It's really dependent on your ability to communicate effectively in those assessment portfolios, get your ideas together, and respond. So it's really hard to say an exact time that it takes outside for the homework, but we generally say probably between 2 to 3 hours is that sweet spot to complete each assessment portfolio. Again, you may be a little bit faster, may take you a little bit longer. What type of engagement can you expect? So what can you expect from me as a facilitator, from your cohort, your fellow learners? For me as a facilitator, I try to be very transparent. I try to not sugarcoat things when it comes to the trial master file. I do not try to make everything seem perfect. I try to be very honest about the topics that we're talking about. I'll say, lots of the times when we're discussing certain things to implement within an organization, it's much easier for us to talk about this as a principal than it is to implement, right? Like, I know it sounds so easy in theory, but in practice, it is going to take more effort. I don't want anybody leaving the program thinking they're going to be able to make drastic changes overnight. Changes take a little bit of time. So I try to be very honest about the frustrations and the challenges and the experiences that I've had and the experiences that people have shared with me. So I try to give real world context to the topics that we talk about. And when we talk about developing an SOP, I try to talk through examples that I've had or that have been shared with me. I try to be honest. That current regulations course, I say, hey guys, hey everyone, the material here is a bit more dry. Hang in there. We're going to get through it. We're going to have some fun moments, but I can't make any changes to regulation. It's statements of fact. There's only so much I can do with it, but let's talk about how it impacts us. So I don't try to sugarcoat and say every course is the most exciting and crazy topic. Sometimes we just kind of have to get through a bit of the material, that regulation, but I think that helps set your expectation to be realistic as a learner. So if there's topics you're very passionate about, you may find them very engaging. Other courses that either you feel very strongly about, like you have a great foundation of knowledge, you may feel, what else could I know? Ask the questions, right? What else do you want to talk about as we're going through those particular topics? But really first and foremost, I look at myself as the person to help you in your learning journey. It's not me just delivering this message to you from TMF University's perspective. It's how can I help you get to where you want to be? And so the engagement really depends on you, right? I'll turn it over to the group to say, does anybody have questions? What do we think about this topic? Are we confused by anything that I've said? Have I presented this in a way that you want me to explain differently? Truly up to you, but you have to engage with me as a learner if we're going to kind of have that back and forth dynamic and that open communication, however works best for you. Do I have to use a certain type of trial master file, like paper or electronic or an eTMF system to be successful? No. You don't even have to have experience, right, to be successful. In TMF University, we are system agnostic. So what does that mean? We do not prioritize or teach from one technology's perspective. We know the participants in TMF University use many, many different systems, different index structure, different resourcing. So we talk from a high-level best practice perspective to give you the tools to be successful in any system that you may be using. So we try not to prioritize any type of system. We try not to prioritize any type of resourcing strategy within an organization because we know it may not be applicable to you. And when things aren't applicable to you, sometimes we can tune them out, right? When we feel like they're not talking about me, I don't need to listen to this. There's no value add here. So that's why we've made that choice to really remain system agnostic and not to prioritize teaching from a particular platform, because you may be working in platform A right now, but your next journey in your career may be in platform B or platform C. And so if you only know about platform A, how good is that for future career prospects? So question here, I think I might be blocking it for some of you. It says, can I attend the classes only and not complete the assessment portfolio? So we do have people who just want the education only. They're maybe not worried about the accreditation. They just want to listen in on a particular topic. Maybe there's only one class that's really interesting to you. You're like, I really want to know about TMF QC, or I only want to know about document QC. We do offer that level of flexibility. If you only want to attend the courses and not complete the assessment portfolios, you can enroll in that pathway. You wouldn't receive an accreditation, so you wouldn't be a qualified TMF associate or TMF manager. You would receive like a certificate of completion, but it's a little bit different, right? You haven't demonstrated that knowledge and understanding, so you don't receive the accreditation, but you did go through the courses, so you do have acknowledgement of your participation in the course. So maybe you were interested in document QC and discovery, you were interested in TMF QC and immersion, and you're interested in TMF metrics in mastery. And those are the only 3 courses that you wanted to participate in, and you did not want to do the assessment portfolio. You can do that. It's really up to you and what pathway you would like as a learner. If you want to go through the entire accreditation, that's fantastic. To complete the assessment portfolios, great, we'll support you. If you really just want to attend a class and get the knowledge, that's also something we can work with you. We try to be as flexible as possible to meet everyone's needs. So you've gotten busy. Speaking of flexibility, work's a little hectic. Personal life is hectic. It's the end of the year. Our next cohort that's kicking off in October, November, and December are when we're delivering the courses. At the end of the year, there's lots of global holidays and time off. Work's gotten a little bit busier because we're trying to meet those end of year deadlines. I don't think I'm going to be able to complete the program like I intended. Does that mean I'm out of luck? Am I kicked out? You're not. We offer opportunities to defer your enrollment for up to half a year, about 6 months. So if you attend the courses, but you need a little bit more time with your assessment portfolio, we'll continue to work with you in the background at no penalty to you. We just need to get that completed within the next 6-month window. So we do have that level of flexibility. Within the cohort itself, we do have windows of completion, and we communicate that to learners to say, here is the last day for this cohort. And beyond that, for this one, we can't really extend it. If you don't think you can meet it, let's talk about deferring your enrollment until our next cohort, and we'll do everything in our power to get you wrapped up as quickly as possible. So we do like to let people know that if things do come up, if you need to step away from the program and come back in the next cohort or, the one after that, that is okay. Totally fine. Things do come up. It happens probably once every cohort. At least one person needs to defer. We're totally okay with that. There's no penalty. There's no hard feelings. People, I always try to tell everyone, your life is more important than TMF University. If there's things that you need to take care of, it's okay. It's not a disappointment to me. We will work with you. So don't feel discouraged. It's all about that communication, right? Just let us know, hey, I need to defer. Okay, what plan of action do we want to take here? Let's work together. Let's get you set up for the next cohort. We're good to go. So we try to be as supportive as possible. That's my approach as a facilitator. So that's a little bit of background, right at about 30 minutes, a little bit over. I know we might have a couple questions that filter in here. So we'll see what comes through in the next couple of minutes, just to see if there are any particular questions. And then if nothing comes through, then we'll just have a little bit of an early meeting end. So I know sometimes they pop up here. Presentation should be in there. Oh, there we go. Okay. So within TMF University, how do some of the hand-on exercises and case studies that we offer prepare individuals for real-world scenarios? That's a great question. So we do offer some hands-on application and case studies of, presenting a topic related to, and I see some more coming in. And so just for this one specifically, so we do have questions that are case studies that come up, like here's a current challenge that an organization is having, or here's a challenge that we have encountered about documents being misfiled. And then we kind of present the topic of what that is. And then we talk through what are some possible outcomes? What can we do to overcome these challenges? What's one way we could take it? What's another way? One of the really great things about the case studies and the discussions that we have is that it helps us to recognize pretty early on, usually there's not one definitive answer. That's a common theme in TMF University, is that there's not usually one right way to do something, depending on resourcing within our organization, depending on technology capabilities, depending on our process. There may be different pathways that we can choose. So those case studies help us to see that pretty early on. And then it helps us to kind of apply that knowledge in the real world setting. So when we encounter something similar, we have that toolkit to kind of pull from. So there's kind of that real world application within the courses that we can translate into our day-to-day day-to-day careers. And we've gotten really good feedback about just the hands-on exercises like the document QC and kind of reviewing documents again, or doing cross checks for TMF QC and assessing completeness. So great opportunity there. There's a question about cost, so I will post that. I'll make sure we get that link posted. It's published, it's publicly available on the website for TMF University with LMK. So we'll make sure we get that over to you to review, because there's a couple of different options about the cost depending on if you enroll on one course, if you enroll in one level or all levels. So we'll make sure that is provided to everyone so you can review that information. And if you have any specific questions about what if I want to do this, is this an option? We can work through some pricing strategies for you. Okay, so great question here. After successful, I need to add this to the FAQ actually. Does TMF University help with job placement? Finding it difficult to get an entry-level job, and hiring managers are asking for kind of previous hands-on experience. So it's kind of a tough question because TMF University as a program, as LMK, we aren't guaranteeing job placement. You know, we don't offer a job to anyone after their program has been completed or as you've been enrolled. Does it give you the skills necessary to answer questions in interviews, to talk about hands-on experience with document QC, with metadata, quality expectations? Yes, it does. It gives you that toolkit, but it's difficult, right? Because it depends on the organization, who's hiring, what expectations that they have. So what I often tell people is we have had people after TMF University come back and give feedback that TMF University helped them get a job. It helped them to end up in a promotion or a different kind of career path than they were currently in. So yes, it can help, but it's dependent on you as a learner, right? So people can go through the program, you can listen to the material that we provide, but if you don't retain or apply yourself, when you go into an interview and someone asks you, what are the quality standards that you should be looking for when reviewing a document? We talk about that in TMF University. We give you the toolkit that you should be able to answer that question without hesitation. But if you yourself are a bit nervous, or perhaps you don't recall that information, that's not going to result in the most favorable interview, perhaps. But we do give you the knowledge to be successful, especially in those entry-level roles. So we have seen people with success, but I will say it's kind of a shared thing, right? We give you the toolkits and the knowledge, but you then have to be able to retain and then convey that information to an interview that you're in. But yes, you'll get experience QCing documents. You'll get experience talking about process development, about completeness reviews, managing a TMF index, about metadata expectations. So you'll kind of get that foundational knowledge. Absolutely. All right, seeing a couple come through the chat, and I know sometimes we get some through LinkedIn, we get others through other broadcasts. So we're just going to see if a couple more. And I think the link that talks about registration, it should pop up for you all, that register for TMF University here. That's also going to include all of the pricing information for anybody who is curious. So you can register there, you can look at the courses, you can look at the pricing scheme as well, and just let us know, if you have any questions there. So let's see if anything else comes through. We might have one or two more come through. Oh, great question here. So kind of mentioned this in our presentation here with how do we align ourselves with industry standards or global regulatory requirements. So as you can imagine, global perspective is one of the challenges of clinical trials, right? There are many different regulatory agencies that have guidance or expectations around clinical trials, clinical research, and the trial master file. So we try to incorporate regulatory guidance into all of our recommendations that we make in the course. We try to cite regulation when we're talking about particular topics, or we try to cite industry publications or teams like the TMF Reference Model Committee or CDISC. We try to cite where this information is coming from whenever we can, or whenever we have pulled that for conversations. We do actively try to make sure that our courses are citing the most current regulation. As many of us are aware, R3 for ICH GCP is anticipated. So we're looking to update our materials to reflect the most current guidance once that's official. So we do continuously evolve the materials. We look at them after each time they're presented. We take the feedback from learners about industry trends like what are you all interested in as learners? What's kind of problematic for you in the day-to-day roles? So there's a lot of different areas that impact how we develop the course material and how we update that course material. But we always try to incorporate current regulatory guidance or industry best practice in the communication that we give. We'll see. Might have one or two more come in. I know we're right at 11:40. We'll see if we've maybe got one or two more questions that come in, and feel free to ask. I know a couple people have. We've got a couple private messages as well that'll pop up here in just a second. Okay, so a question here around, interestingly, CRAs or data managers seeking TMF training. Why do people enjoy TMF University? I think it kind of ties into that last question that we just talked about with the regulatory guidance and kind of addressing the why. That is one thing that I continue, and I know I've said that's one thing I always talk about. There's several things that I always continue to revisit throughout the TMF University program, and one of those is addressing the why we have to do certain actions. So for the functional areas like data managers, QA, CRAs that have participated in TMF University, a lot of them have expressed this has been so helpful to me because I've never really understood the why. Right? There's many CRAs, QA, data managers, biostats, safety, all those functional areas. Most of them don't start as a TMF associate or a document reviewer. They may start elsewhere within their journey. So they don't have that foundational knowledge of the importance of the trial master file or understanding why they need to perform certain actions. Why do I have to review for X, Y, and Z? Or why is the process the way it is? We tie in that regulatory guidance and those best practices to really address the importance of the TMF and what is expected of the TMF and what the TMF should demonstrate. And I think we really do a good job of explaining that the TMF is a representation of you and your contributions to that clinical trial. And without your part of the story, you're a co-author, right? We always say the TMF is the story of the trial. These functional areas are our co-authors. And I think we do a really good job of explaining that to them and breaking it down. Some people, with lots more experience with TMF, they kind of come in, they say, wow, like, you've, some of this seems like really foundational. You broke it down really granularly. And they're like, that was helpful. And then we see the people who have just joined the TMF space or clinical trials, or maybe coming from another functional area. And they're like, wow, like you really broke this down to a granular level and have helped me to kind of understand this particular topic. So I think that's kind of a combination of things there that help people to really understand the role that they play within the trial master file. All right, I think maybe, do we have one more question coming through? And then that might be the last one to give everybody a little bit of time back. We'll see. Looking out just to see if there's anything coming in. All right, let's see. All right, I don't see anything else popping up. I'm sure maybe if I'm closing things out, if one more comes up, then I'll be happy to answer that. But I will say kind of just some closing remarks now. Just want to say, thanks for those who are able to participate, listen in today. Hopefully you've appreciated it. If you do have questions, about more granular questions about the courses, or if there's a certain course that you're interested in and you want to know specifically what you're going to learn in that course, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer questions. We're not trying to gatekeep the information. With this 45-minute to 1 hour town hall, it'd be quite difficult to go into a granular level with each course. But if there is a course you're interested in, want to know more about, let us know. If you have questions about enrollment, please let us know. As mentioned, we are kicking off our next cohort. The discovery level will be October of this year in 2023. For those maybe waiting till the new year, the next one will kick off in January of 2024. So lots of opportunities there for you to engage, however works best for you. But I do just want to say, thank you to everyone for your time today. Really appreciate it. If you do have questions, you should see now an email that you can reach out to. You can also reach out via the website that was posted as well. But just appreciate everyone's time today. If you need me, please feel free to reach out. Look forward to seeing you in the program if you decide to join, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.